chasing the stars, we'll stride into the dawn. Never back down till the battle is won. Face each foe with hearts brave and true, unafraid of the unknown, because I'll face it all with you.
Hello, I'm the Reviewer. You review it, I review you. This is my partner, Mr. It. Today, we'll be taking a look at Linkara's review of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
You might notice that with some very few exceptions, you don't see a lot of Patreon-sponsored reviews of video games.
Not that I'm complaining, but it is still more frequent than you'd expect.
If you somehow didn't know, the Ace Attorney games are the source of the OBJECTION meme.
God, it's depressing that memes tend to be more famous than their source material.
3.4 seconds. That's all the time Big Chungus had ever existed. And yet decades later, he would become more famous than Bugs Bunny, despite being Bugs Bunny himself.
Let's dig into Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney and see if I still hold that opinion this many years later.
Now, you may be wondering why he's using the DS version as opposed to the Switch or Steam versions. Well, there is an answer to that in the comments. Yeah, I'm going to assume that this didn't occur to him until after it was too late to put it in the video. Basically, he says he wanted to be as accurate as possible to the request, that being the first Ace Attorney game. Which is fair. I mean, there are some notable differences between the versions other than just image and sound quality. Also, not knowing that the HD versions existed does help. Or doesn't help. You know what I mean.
Let's boot up the game and see what sort of options we have. It's a complicated setup, as you can see.
All jokes aside, I am surprised that there is no options menu.
We meet our title character, Phoenix Wright. And for his first case, he has been hired to defend the guy accused of that woman's murder, Larry Butts. If this were a Batman comic, Larry would be destined to be some kind of butt-themed supervillain.
It is taking every ounce of restraint I have to not check to see if that's a thing. I feel like if it is, I'll never sleep again. I don't want to believe it's real, but if Condiment King can exist, then all bets are off.
Not everyone takes a murder trial right off the bat like this, especially since you're a tax attorney.
It's a necessity. The IRS has really stepped up its game in the last few years.
I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but the IRS? No, thank you.
No opening statements, just go right into calling witnesses. Legal Eagle would have a field day with this game. Oh wait, he did. Well, that was the anime and not the video game, so my joke still works.
Actually, the anime is such an exact retelling of the game's plot that it could almost be used as a game guide. So, same difference, really.
This leads us into our witness, aka real murderer, Frank Sawit. Feels like his name really should have been Frank Did It.
Oh my god, the names get so much worse. Mimi! Okay, maybe not worse, but they're still stupid.
This is where we get into the main gameplay mechanics of the trial sequences, and consequently why it was a bit frustrating for me. We're given the individual statements the witness made, then have to either press them on these facts, or present evidence that contradicts their statements. And there's really no indication of when it's more appropriate to press and when you should just go straight to the evidence, and if you don't do it in the correct order, it's possible to get docked one of the 5 points you have before automatically losing the case.
Personally, maybe I just got lucky, but I found that pressing is never a bad idea. While submitting unconnected evidence can hurt your case, asking for clarification on testimony never seems to.
How it takes all this well? Your Honor, I move to declare him a hostile witness. Proof enough for you, Mr. Sawit? Or should I say, Mr. Did It? Objection! Don't be stealing my dumb jokes, Phoenix! I have nothing else that distinguishes me out there if I'm not making snarky, basic comedy at the things I review!
I mean, you'll still probably be the guy who knows way too much about Power Rangers and Star Trek.
Fortunately, the game does not dock you for missing something in the background. You'll always have to get everything before you re-enter the trial portions.
True, but it can still be really frustrating to try to figure out what the hell you're missing.
Mia contacts her sister Maya, asking her to hold on to a piece of evidence for her for an upcoming case that's held in the Thinker statue clock, though with the clock portions removed. Me personally, I keep tiny Poyo figurines in mine.
Still waiting on those to be sold, Linkara. My next Warforged in D&D is not gonna have arms, if you catch my drift.
Mia was clutching a piece of paper with Maya's name on it written in her own blood. Dick Gumshoe, living up to his name, immediately arrests Maya because of this evidence. Now, to be fair...
Given how often I use that phrase, I feel attacked.
Note could be argued to be what is referred to in law as a dying declaration.
So, basically...
He must have died while carving it.
We learn more about her and Mia's family, that they actually come from a line of spirit mediums. Maya herself is only in training for it, so she can't just call Mia on the psychic hotline to ask who murdered her.
Probably wouldn't have worked anyway. Could be argued that Maya's lying about Mia's testimony.
We also learned that 15 years ago, there was an unusual murder case, and the cops were getting so desperate for answers that they recruited her mother, Misty, to use her psychic powers to help.
Wait, Misty's psychic? No wonder why she hates bug types.
Anyway, Miss May is arrested for the illegal wiretapping, but we need actual evidence of this accomplice being the murderer. Phoenix steals some photographs from Grossberg's office, because I guess that's how lawyering works now.
And apparently the huge-ass portrait.
So yeah, it's time for Phoenix to be put on trial for the murder of his boss and friend. This has been a really rough week for him, you notice that?
Phoenix is the kind of protagonist who's never allowed to have a good day. Ever.
In this case, Maya's extreme emotional reaction to Phoenix seeming to give up is what allows Mia to be channeled through Maya's body, apparently growing and exposing her boobs more in the process.
Me, 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 me.
We even get to see a bit of an episode of Steel Samurai. The pale moon in the sky cries for your blood! Rejoice.
You know, I'm sure that's a reference I just don't get, but quite frankly, I don't need to. That delivery was funny.
And Edgeworth is not putting in his A game during the trial, though that might be because Old Bag keeps flirting with him and telling him to call her Grandma. What he won't admit to is that he's actually into it. It's just he's too much of a professional to indulge in that sort of thing during a trial.
Edgeworth? Professional? Ha!
Anyway, we meet the director and show critic. Oh dear God, it's Graham Linehan! No. Fortunately, we're luckier than that. It's Salmonella. That's actually his name. If this game was made in 2020, I imagine we'd meet a virologist named Cole Vid.
Don't give Capcom any ideas.
Never stop and think about the fact that in the lawyer game, ghosts and psychic powers are just real. Like, completely, no denying it, real.
Not really.
When we confront her with this, along with the only photo of the incident, she claims that Hammer deliberately killed the guy. But it doesn't matter because she plans to use her mafia goons to murder us. Boy, it'd be really nice if we had some kind of psychic ghost who could save our asses!
The hell do you expect Mia to do? She hasn't exhibited any powers applicable to combat.
But there's already a bit of a media blitz around the lake because there's talk of a Loch Ness Monster-esque creature inside the lake named Gordy. Which is neat and all, but does this Gordy have pig power in the house?
Damn it, just when I had forgotten about that.
But fortunately for our heroes, I must say a sentence that is very rarely, but not never, spoken out loud. Butts to the rescue.
Me, 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 me.
Don't worry, guys. I know things look bad, but I've got another lawyer on standby to help.
Your Honor, can I win now?
No.
Okay.
You joke, but with this judge, that might actually work.
Well, fortunately, it's not as bad. After some trial shenanigans, including cross-examining a parrot, because why not?
No one tell him about the attack drone from Spirit of Justice.
Ah, yeah. See, this is where the game is supposed to end, where it ended when it was a Game Boy Advance game. But since they were re-releasing it for the DS, I guess they decided they should have some more content to justify anyone purchasing it a second time.
Take notes, The Last of Us.
The story itself is good, with some weird twists and turns, a lot of goofy and wacky characters.
Is she wearing a jelly-filled donut on her head?
Also, the end credits have you doing the fingerprint thing again to reveal some artwork because it's mocking me and wants me to suffer.
Linkara in this moment.
I don't think so.
While there's a bit more summarizing than I'd prefer, it's fair considering Linkara's trying to fit the whole game into one video. The jokes are still good and it's a fun time. I'm the review reviewer. You review it, I review you. There isn't a whole lot down here.
Yeah, it's almost suspiciously empty. But I'm sure we'll find something.
Me. Dear Journal, this is the first time I'm writing in one of these things for non-research purposes, but I felt that this was a day that needed to be recorded. My beloved sister gave birth today. The child is the spitting image of his father. Within his first few hours of life, he's already proven quite the handful. Perhaps her decision to name her son after my Chaos project was more fitting than I realized. Welcome to this crazy multiverse of ours, little Inzodius Thatch. Wait, then this means... Me. Don't worry, I know we'll be able to find those answers too. Me. You coming?
No, I don't think I will.
What?
It's really important to you to find out more about Uncle It's family, right? Then I'll stay here, see if I can uncover anything else.
Are you sure?
Yep! Just do me a favor. Keep in touch?
I promise.
I will make you proud. Get the answers that you seek. Don't you worry, whatever it might take, I'll find a way. And I swear right now, I don't care if all hope is bleak. I'll travel the ends of this world to hear you say, that's my girl.
Well, that wasn't so... Ow!
I like to think I don't ask too much of you two. What was the one thing I told you not to do?
Enter cyberspace.
And what did you do?
Enter cyberspace.
You two are grounded. Do you understand me?
Grounded? You're not our mom.
Do you really think it's wise to argue with me right now?
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Shutting up.